This is a message for parents whose kids are experiencing embarrassment. I just had a great little conversation with my sister. My nephew just had his first basketball game of the season. A little mixed up with his uniform. He ended up with somebody's jersey that was way too small for him. And things were already in play. They couldn't fix it before the game. And my sister did an amazing job just encouraging him, acknowledging him, and he went out and played. And then later on, she called me to talk about it. And we've just been chatting because here's the thing. I lived the exact experience her son is going through, where you are the biggest one in your class. You're the tallest, you're the biggest, and you're wearing a grown man's jersey instead of the kid jerseys that the other 8-year-olds are wearing. I was probably like 13 in that photo, 12. Anyways, my sister had to run some errands, but I sent her a text. I was like, listen, you did an amazing job and you're doing a great job. And I know that your instinct is to protect your son and to show up for him in whatever way and fix this and solve this and help him become the best he can be and all these things. Can I tell you, as someone that lived this experience, what I wanted and needed? Number one, I needed a parent who would sit in the embarrassment with me. The thing is, especially in sports, and especially when you're heavyset, and kids already make fun of you. He's going through it right now. I lived it my whole childhood. There is something to be said about when you experience embarrassment about something that you can't fix overnight. To wear a jersey that is too small and to show up and play a game with your peers that you're maybe not the best at, that you're trying to learn, that you're trying to be aggressive and do these things. But when you move and your jersey moves with you and you have to be so concerned about, is everything in place and what does this look like? And people are already making fun of me and are they going to make fun of me even more? It takes so much courage to show up over and over again. And it also taught me how to disassociate. I had to have out-of-body experiences when I was living through those moments because it was so painful and embarrassing. And parents' instinct is often to get away from that embarrassment also, bury it, put it down, solve it. Like, oh my God, don't even worry about it. Like, who cares what they're saying? That's all ways to bury it and put it away. Solve it. My sister did a good job. Like, we're going to make sure you have the right jersey. We'll talk to the coach. We'll get it afterwards. The next game, we won't have this issue. I'm so sorry you have to go through it right now, but you're going to show up because you've been working out. You've been trying. You've been practicing basketball. We've been playing it. Like, you're going to do this, buddy. You got this. Okay? Did a great job. None of those things are bad. I'm just saying they're all ways to move away from the embarrassment, to solve it, to fix it, to move on, to bury it. The person living it is still living in the embarrassment. They still have to feel what that feels like because it's something about themselves that I know I couldn't change overnight. But what I learned was it was not okay to exist in a body like this. I needed to lose weight. I wasn't allowed to admit that I have asthma because if I was just healthier, if I was thinner, if I was smaller, I wouldn't have asthma. It's taken me 30 years to realize, bitch, that's not true. I literally have the blood marker for asthma. My nephew just got tested a month ago. Turns out he has asthma. So I was telling my sister, so he has to have his inhaler before an emergency. That's not, okay, we need to chat about this, right? Because they haven't dealt with it. I grew up with it. And I didn't get an inhaler until I was 16. So I had asthma attacks, which I now know what they are, for 8 years before I was able to finally have someone believe me and acknowledge you're not going to exercise your way out of this. The panic that you feel because you can't breathe is real. So my sister had to run. We had a lot of great conversations. She did a great job. And just telling her, I was if anything, what I needed as a kid was someone to just sit in the embarrassment with me, to not try to push it away, because what I learned was I needed to be ashamed of that thing, but that thing was my body. That thing was how I looked. That thing is just how I am in the world. And I spent years starving myself and going into disordered eating and thinking about getting into a car accident because then there could be a reason that I was slow, or maybe that would be less embarrassing than showing up in a way that people wanted to laugh at me because I'm wearing a man's jersey or because I was wearing a kid jersey that was way too tight. So I just shared with her, what I needed was someone to sit in the embarrassment with me. What I needed was someone to tell me, oh my gosh, I've had this too. It's embarrassing and it sucks, but let me tell you how it ended up. Let me tell you that I kept showing up for myself. And maybe I wasn't the best one in the room. Maybe I wasn't the fastest. But I tried and I won free throw competitions. And then in high school, I got on varsity because maybe I wasn't the best this, but I was a team player and I played until the whistle blew, and my coach loved me because I was never going to quit and I was always willing to show up and do my best even if I wasn't the best in the room. That mattered to me. And I was telling my sister, this is just my 2 cents. But that embarrassment that you think is gone because it was hours ago is probably still in him. And he might be doing what I did, which was to learn to disassociate from his body. So you did an amazing job. This is nobody's fault. But instead of looking at this as like an issue to solve, perhaps can you just look at it as like something about him to accept? That he has asthma, that he's not going to be the fastest, that he's going to have to put in extra work. But to just acknowledge where he is right now in his cutie little self, being the tallest and the biggest one in his class. Because you know what? His Tia was the same fucking way. And kids are mean. And adults don't mean to be, but they're also mean. And they leave you high and dry by accident. My sister has not done that, but I was just telling her, like, this is the age that it started for me. And I'm asking you to do it a little bit differently because this is what I needed. Maybe it's not the right thing. I mean, I'm not his parent, so you know what's best. But just to say, parents, maybe try that. Try sitting in it with your kids instead of trying to solve it. Try accepting them for who they are, exactly as they are, and celebrate their small wins. My basketball coach always, to this day, is one of the greatest, things in my life, because I remember him always saying, like, you don't need to compare yourself to these people. You're not going to be like her. She's been dribbling like that since she came out of the womb. Your job is to be better than you were yesterday. That's all I'm asking of you. I want to be able to rely on you, and I'm relying on you for your skill set. That's it. I'm not relying on you to be like her or like her. I already have them. I need you to be better than you were yesterday, and I need me to be able to rely on you for the things that you do really well. Do those things really well. And I really, as a grown adult that's done a lot of healing recently, knows that I know and can acknowledge and recognize that changed the trajectory of where I was headed and how I was treating myself and my body. So anyways, cheers to basketball season starting for a lot of kids.